Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to the Buccaneers podcast. We are live here, and we got a very special guest in the house tonight, an old friend of the show's, JC Allen from Pewter Report, a great contributor of theirs, cranks out an article or two a day, and they're very well put together, well-written articles. Pewter Report and him are a great fit together. We'll bring him in here shortly. We got more crew in the building. We got Cody G. We got Cats. We got a lot to digest and talk about. A couple of bad news things to talk about in terms of COVID, in terms of injuries. We'll talk about all the latest and greatest shortly. You can follow us on Twitter at Buccaneers. Follow us on YouTube at Buccaneers Podcast. You could catch us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast as well. Nonetheless, Cody, Cats, how the hell we doing this evening?
Doing good. Looking forward to the game.
Doing all right. Sorry, I mean,
Yep,
pizza. How it's rude, but
no worries. Finish your pizza. We'll bring you in a bit. JC, thanks for joining us. Obviously, not your first time on the show, but your first time on the show with Pewter Report. We appreciate you coming on. Where can the people follow your great work on Twitter and whatnot?
Yes. Yeah, so my Twitter handle's right there at JC Allen NFL. Follow me there. PewterReport.com. We're pumping out amazing content every single day. Make sure not just me, but all the other writers there, John, Matt, Scott, obviously with a couple new contributors with Jack and Paul. Make sure you check their stuff out because they're the way they break down X's and O's is amazing. And Casey, we welcome Casey on too. She's been contributing in the predictions and in the social media aspect. But yeah, you can find my stuff at pewterreport.com, and I'm always tweeting stuff out at JC Allen NFL. So definitely those places are where you can find me.
Yeah, everyone, you better make sure to follow JC because this man always writes great articles, always provides the content people need for our Buccaneers. And I'm not just saying that. There's a handful of people I'd recommend. JC is definitely one of the top people I would recommend for that. I'll make my list public one day. I don't want to offend anyone though, so we'll keep that on the down low for now. One way or another. But anyways, welcome in JC once again, my man. You wanted to start off with something that's kind of developing.
Yeah, so Greg Allman Athletic recently tweeted out from JPP's his Instagram page, and it looks like Jason Pierre-Paul, who was added to the injury report this week with a shoulder hand injury, looks like he was on an airplane with a message saying, "Only God knows the true meaning of setbacks. Let's go get this news feedback." Not quite sure what that means. Obviously, JPP is older, suffered with a knee injury throughout the year, said he was about 60-70% playing all last year. Now with the shoulder, looks like, this could be a picture from yesterday, could be a picture from this morning that he just forgot to post. JPP is a guy who will post things late. If you watch the ring ceremony, he was posting things from the ring ceremony after the ring ceremony. So this could be something that's current. It does look like it's daytime out, and this was just broke 48 minutes ago. So, just something to monitor as he is on the injury report, as is Jaden Mickens. The only two players that are injured after Bruce Arians said on Monday that there are some guys in the MRI tubes. I was assuming that would be a guy like Mike Evans, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, all who came out for a few plays in the game against the Falcons. But it looks like they're okay. But, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, such a big aspect of this defense, not just as an edge rusher, but his versatility to kick on inside downs and rush from the interior as well, where he really makes his bread and butter from the start of his career. It's something to monitor. The cryptic message, setback, is this a setback for maybe this week, for an extended period of time? It's something to monitor, something to keep watch. We will be there at practice tomorrow looking for JPP, see if he's practicing at all. It's safe to say if he doesn't practice tomorrow, if he doesn't practice on Friday, obviously it's probably a no-go, which means more JTS, Joe Tryon Shoyinka, which I'm not upset about, but going against this Rams team, you need all the help you can get. And JPP, if he is out, is definitely a valuable piece lost.
And it's a huge piece lost, but like you said, the Bucs do have a contingency plan in place. We'll get into JTS shortly. a lot of bad news broke for the Bucs today as another guy went down. We'll get into him in a bit, but I'm glad you mentioned that perhaps JPP, you never know, it was taken during a daytime perhaps, and he's prone to posting late sometimes. You never know with him, but our guy JPP has had awful luck with injuries into his career. Hopefully it's nothing too big. Hopefully it's nothing crazy, but one way or another, we do have JTS waiting in the wings, and I'm excited. This guy showed a lot of versatility already this year. He's lined up at several positions on defense. He's made some explosive plays. His biggest one came in the preseason against the Bengals, and he's made some regular season really good, near big plays as well. I'm excited to see what he could do.
He would have had his first. He would have had his first sack against Matt Ryan if Vita Vea didn't block him out of the way, kind of. But he was right there, and I mean, yeah, his versatility has shown through. And you know, if you check out Pewter Report, John Ledyard's Bucs briefing today, he actually said that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka could be the best one-on-one edge defender the Buccaneers have on this roster, ahead of guys like JPP and Shaq Barrett. It's amazing to see how this guy has progressed so far so quickly. And I was speaking with Louis Riddick the other day of Monday Night Football, not the Eli Manning broadcast, the one that nobody watches. And he said that he could be the steal of the draft. So, I mean, Louis Riddick is a respected guy, been interviewed multiple times for front office jobs, has held front office jobs. So, you know, high praise for the rookie. And it looks like the Bucs found themselves potentially a generational pass rusher at pick 32. Crazy.
We might have got helped out by him.
If I may.
Go ahead, Katz.
I was going to ask, by him opting out, or whatever we call it, for the prior year, had he not done that, do you think he still would have dropped as far as he did, or would he have been more likely a top 15 pick, probably?
It's hard to say with the hypotheticals, because I don't know how much work he did in the offseason prior to COVID, and
Right.
Obviously, March, April is when things started shutting down, and when colleges were starting to kind of panic and start to cancel their season and then reopen their season closer towards the start of the season. So I know with him opting out, he had a full year to really hone on a lot of the things that, the last time we saw play, I mean, me and John were talking on Spotify Green Room and, making the same conclusions that too many wasted movements at the snap. He'd take a step here, step back there where he didn't need to. Definitely worked on an array of pass rush moves. So it's hard to say. Would I think he would have improved his draft stock? Probably, but he was kind of a late riser in the process anyways to media. He was originally pegged to be like a third and second round guy and shot all the way up into the first round, kind of, with about 3 weeks left, a month left to go in that draft process. So I maybe 20s, maybe earlier 20s if he played, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know what he would have been able to accomplish had he not taken that year off and honed his technique, because that's what it is. I mean, the guy's got the strength, he's got the size, he's got the ability, and getting the reps out there certainly would have helped. But to channel and work on your technique and watch the tape of the games you did play and have a whole season to not only improve but get better at multiple pass rush moves and everything. This guy's got amazing. I mean, the near sack he had was just an amazing, just a delayed stab, and he would have been there if it wasn't for Vita Vea falling on him. So it's tough to say, but I mean, looking back at it now, he's probably the best pass rusher to come out of the draft so far. And we hasn't even logged a sack yet. He just looks.
That's remarkable, really. I'm watching him, and I'm thinking to myself, when you pick a guy and say, well, he's raw, he's a great athlete, I'm thinking, well, I heard that about Noah Spence and Daquan Bowers too. So I'm thinking, well, all right, I want to see it, but I love the pick at the time. I'm thinking, well, that's the best value. You need pass rush depth. It might not manifest itself immediately, but so far, yeah, it looks to me like he's making an impact right away. It's not like they're holding. I don't know what his snap count was or anything, but it doesn't feel like they're shying away from putting him on the field in key situations. If he is inserted in there because of JPP, it's under unfortunate circumstances, but that, so it goes. You need your depth, especially the year after playing more games than anybody. You're going to have injuries. That's just the reality of it, more likely. Anyway,
And he is getting pressure.
sorry, Tones. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
He
you're
is
good.
getting-
Go ahead, JP.
I was going to say he is getting pressures too on the quarterback. So I mean, it is coming through. Just hasn't been able to get home. But that's been the theme for this entire pass rush and front seven is pressures have been there, noticeably there. Just haven't been able to really get home. And that was part of the problem last year too. Especially with a guy like Shaq Barrett, etc. So, it's just got to finish. You just got to finish. I mean, Devin White had a chance to finish. Tryon Shoyinka would have finished if it wasn't for Vita Vea, most likely. It's just finishing, getting home, But, I mean, pressures cause disruption. And, both of those picks were based off pressures, Throwing the ball too low is not because you don't know how to throw the ball.
Right. Well, teams, I feel, against the Bucs want to get the ball out fast. They're going to get the ball out quick, and Sean McVay is the master at that. And you saw Atlanta doing that. And on those the first interception, Shaq Barrett realized he's not going to get to the actually does what I always was taught to do. Not that I played, but I always know this. Get your hands up, knock the ball down, it pops in the air, you get a pick. And the second two picks, I believe, were a little bit different. But again, if you got a quarterback, he's going to drop that. They're not going to run the ball. Teams are pretty much just shelled on the run against us. The Rams might have a different idea. Get your hands up. If they're going to get the ball out quick, that's how I always thought how you combat a quick passing attack. It's easy for me to sit here and say that. Sean McVay, like I said, probably got a better game plan than Arthur Smith. That's not to say. And I thought, what's his face for Dallas had a great game plan in week one. I can't think of his name. Help me. Kellen Moore. I was about to say Matt Moore. Came out with he had a great game plan, and the Bucs really didn't have a lot of answers to it. But now you're really can Todd Bowles this time, can he match wits with Sean McVay and his group again? Last year, as I recall, the first half was a mess. The second half, the Bucs adjusted, and they stayed in that game. They didn't win that game, so I'll be interested to see what comes from that. It's going to be a great chess match between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody, what say you on this whole situation with JPP, JTS, and the news breaking this evening?
I'm going to hold my breath and hope, maybe it's nothing, miscommunication. But, I'm excited to see the rookie. If JPP can't go, I'm really excited to see the rookie get more reps. One thing is JPP's leadership and energy. He brings a unique amount of energy, so that'll definitely be missed. I hope he can play, but if not, I'm not sure how much of a drop off it'll be, to be honest with you. It's not like it's not like he's been like dominant so far this season or anything like that. He might be better off. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm holding out hope.
At the what is nice at the very least, and JPP is our energizer. He's done a lot since coming here a couple of years back in a trade that we absolutely fleeced the Giants for. What's nice about having him is at least you have him, JTS, and Shaq. When you're down one of those three, the depth does get a little thin, and that's what's a concerning part, in my opinion.
Yeah, Anthony Nelson's not a guy you want taking regular snaps. So, but he's young. He's got fresh legs. They'll rotate Anthony Nelson in there. I think you'll see a rotation if you can't go with Joe Tryon, but because they're going to still want to be able to use him in different ways other than just that guy who's rushing off the edge. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. JPP, as you mentioned, he is the guy who gets this defense energized between him and Devin White. There's those two guys get live and get hype. Those are pretty much what they do. So they'll definitely miss him, especially against this attack. They could use everyone they can get. But you got to overcome next man up, right?
Correct. And who knows, JPP actually could be tapped in right now. He, I got a cameo from him over the summer, and he said he'll be tapping into the Buccaneers. So you never know when JPP might be listening. We do love JPP. He's done so much for this defense. We do hope he gets well soon. And it's been a day of bad news, as we said. Antonio Brown also going down, this time due to COVID. JC, we'll start with you, then Katz and Cody. Feel free to jump in once he's done what the hell's going on here? Minter, Johnson from the practice squad, and now AB. Is this going to be it, or do you see more domino effects coming, perhaps?
You hope this is it, right? And as Cody just said with JPP, all you can do is hold your breath. Antonio Brown, thankfully, is asymptomatic. So that is good news. It is only Wednesday, 2 negative tests in 48 hours. He can possibly return. We don't know when he got that failed test. It could have been last night. It could have been this morning. Most likely it was this morning. So 24 hours from now, tomorrow morning is Thursday. 24 hours from them is Friday morning. They probably don't leave till Saturday. So there is a chance that he could still play. Bruce said they're preparing, to not have him, but it would be gravy if they did have him. So, you just got to hope that he's there. Minter, I think, is going to be a big loss because God forbid something should happen to one of these linebackers. You're putting KJ Britta, Grant Stewart in there, and that is just not going to be pretty for the defense. But not only that, you're losing your special teams captain and one of your best special teams players too. And as we know, as you guys know as Bucs fans and from covering the team, special teams has been a bright spot, surprisingly, so far this year. But you've seen the years past where, and even the preseason, where you're like, oh man, is this unit going to get it together? And losing such a pivotal guy like Kevin Minter, if he cannot go, is it's going to be tough to replace him on special teams. Not only just Johnson, they brought back John Hurst, who was with the team last year, made the initial 53, got put on short-term IR, came off, got released, spent 2 weeks in the practice squad, signed with the Chargers practice squad, finished the season there with them, signed a futures contract with them, made it to the final round of cuts, and had just been sitting on the street. So they brought him in, got familiar with the offense. So he'll be able to play a little bit of that, scout team wide receiver while Johnson's on IR. It is a loss because he is able – now, it's not as big of a loss as it would be if they're playing a mobile quarterback this week, because Johnson can sometimes act as your he was a quarterback at Montana, so he will act as your Lamar Jackson, or that type of player, if you will, Taysom Hill, guy who can emulate that movable quarterback. But it's still a loss nonetheless. But as for AB, if he's not able to play, it's going to require Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and potentially, because Jaden Mickens has a hip injury, if he can't go, we might see the first glimpse of rookie Jalen Darden, whether he plays or not, or is just a return man, but it's going to take them stepping up. I still think they're in pretty good position because I don't think their depth at cornerback behind Jalen Ramsey is that great. The guy who's probably going to be covering Godwin is going to be Darius Williams. He'll probably have help over the top by Taylor Rapp. But, you look at their third cornerback, David Long Jr., I think you can get some separation. And the inside linebackers, Tony Reeder had a nice pick last week. But Leonard Floyd is not a guy that I trust to drop back in coverage. Neither is Justin Hollins. So you still got Gronk. You still got OJ. Maybe you get OJ a little bit more incorporated in there. Maybe you get a guy like Gio finally a little bit more incorporated in there to really test out that linebacking core, which is not a strong point of the team. Leonard Floyd is only a strong point if he's rushing. I mean, he's not a coverage guy. This guy was a D lineman for most of his career. So you have to overcome and adapt if he's not able to play, which is something this Bucs team has done time and time again. But it would be a big loss because I think with him there, it creates a really big matchup problem for this team, because if you're going to double Godwin and you're going to put Ramsey on Evans, you're leaving AB and Gronk all alone on single coverage, and against that linebacking core and against that third cornerback, I mean, those guys should be able to eat. And, I don't know how much eating Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, one trick pony is going to be able to do if AB can't go. So
it sucks. Myself included, I've been saying all offseason this is the deepest team in the NFL. I mean, you lose a player like AB, that sucks, obviously. But, I mean, we're deep. We're deep at wide receiver. I mean, it's, next man up. I personally think it's going to be more like Gronk and hopefully Brate across the seam, like JC was saying. The linebacking core is good at rushing the passer. They're not good.
Huh? You just skip OJ? Lost all faith in OJ, Cody?
Yeah, I personally would rather Brate out there than OJ. But I don't know. I like OJ. I think it's going to be more of them stepping up than, I'm sure it'll be a mixture of Tyler and Scotty, but we'll see. We haven't really seen Scotty at all yet this year, so.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen Brait much either. I haven't seen much of Brait. Seen much of Howard, although Howard did have a 20-yard catch down the seam. Howard, I'm not giving up yet. I feel he can be such a matchup nightmare for a defense. They just haven't been able to get him in sync. Whether it's it's off to such a great start last year, and then he tears his ACL. He's had such bad luck. So I still feel if they can, incorporate him, and he hasn't been yet. And I think he's only got that one target. Maybe it might be his only target of the year. Maybe he's had a second. I don't know. But we know he can block, and I look at the Rams and their defensive line. And our offensive line has done a great job so far, but how much help do you need in block? Obviously, we know Aaron Donald, the rest of their defensive line. Do the Bucs need to go to more, max protect in this game, or do they feel our front five can hold their water against this pass rush? I mean, that's so vital in this type of game.
Yeah, well, they're nose tackles.
The prior two teams by far. It's not even close to what Atlanta and Dallas put out there.
Yeah, their nose tackle Sebastian Joseph Day has been a bright surprise. But you look at Aaron Donald, obviously top 5 player in the league, best player at his position. But you look at what the Bucs did last year, and they held him in check. He went statless throughout the game, and even the year prior, they did a really good job. But with Joseph Day's emergence as a big nose tackle, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about blocking these guys, because usually big nose tackles, you need 2 guys, and Aaron Donald needs 2 guys. That just leaves you 1 lineman left. You're right. Do they bring in a jumbo? We saw them bring in a jumbo tight end last week. Do they do that again this week for more protection? It's really going to be interesting to see what kind of personnel they're trying to run. I mean, if AB can't go, I see a lot of 12 personnel, right? You're probably putting OJ Howard and Cam Brait. Cam Brait's Mr. Reliable, right? But OJ Howard's got the skill set to mismatch up. So, you're probably bringing those 2 guys out and the 2 receivers and a running back. What that's going to look like is going to be interesting to see. But, the game plan, if AB can't go, definitely changes a bit. You're not going to go 3 wide receiver all the time because you're really Scotty Miller. You're going to be rotating guys out. Scotty Miller is your deep threat. He's your one-trick pony. You really can't do anything else. And you heard Bruce talk about him not being able to make the grimy catches. We saw that in training camp and at practices. Still wasn't really making those grimy catches. Tyler Johnson, while he looked amazing in training camp, it's still Tyler Johnson. I still think you need some seasoning to him. Do you really want to rely on him in a game this big? But then again, you look at the same thing that we were just talking about with 12 personnel. Do you trust OJ Howard in a game this big? Do you trust that his blocking, which has come a long way, can be there? Do you trust his hands? Do you trust that his body is ready after that ruptured Achilles? Because I think that's more of the problem, is that I just don't think he's fully returned and fully, football ready. I think he's ready to play. I don't think he's football ready. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a completely different game plan. They're going to have game plan A and game plan B. All right. This is what we're going to do because they script the first 30 players. So, they might have a situation where they'll know Friday, but they might be practicing more 12 personnel. And we won't be able to see that because we only see the first 30 minutes and it's just special teams and warmups. But maybe they're practicing more 12 personnel, knowing that, hey, we can go to this, we can go over here with the 3 wides if we need to. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, we love it
here.
Yeah, it's great info, JC. We're learning a lot. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're with an old friend of the show, JC Allen, and he's just an incredible Bucs contributor. JC, I just want to ask you quickly, since we're on the topic, we mentioned OJ Howard, or I guess Cody didn't mention OJ Howard, but some of us mentioned OJ Howard perhaps playing a little bit more. And I listen to Beckles and Retcher every day. Although I'm in the Chicagoland area, I tune in to WDAE for Pat and Aaron, Beckles and Retcher. Then on the weekends, I listen to Blobner and Wise, so I'm always tuning in, listening to whether you're one of their guests, Steve Carney, whoever it is. Always a good time. Nonetheless, I'm rambling now. Beckles and Retcher, they said perhaps Jay said that Howard and Gio are perhaps a package, maybe more so on third downs. He noticed that they entered the game at the same time a lot. Do you see Howard as just a third down tight end, or specifically perhaps in packages with Gio?
I think it's hard. I thought that OJ Howard could, not necessarily be tight end one, but put tight end one numbers potentially, this year. But Gronk has just gone off to such a hot start. It's like, even if they wanted to get OJ Howard more involved, you can't take Gronk off the field because he's shown no signs of slowing down. It doesn't seem like the workload is too heavy for him. So you really, when he's producing, 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games, you can't pull him off. As for Giovanni Bernard, it's bewilderment because it's not just third downs. He's played in less than half of the team's third down snaps. It's crazy. We were talking about this pre-show.
Yeah.
The Rojo. That play was horrific. Both of them actually. The one where he didn't lower his shoulder and go for that first down where he was right there. He just kind of scampered out of bounds and shied away from contact. What are you doing? First of all, you're a running back in the NFL. You lower your shoulder, you drive through, and you get that first down. And then the second one with the blitz pickup, just terrible for a guy who's been, supposed to be working on. He got benched BA's first year in December. I forget what game it was. I think it might have even been Atlanta. I'm not sure. He got benched in the game for the rest of the game for a bad pass block, rep. Like you got to learn. You got to learn. And the fact that they're not having Giovanni Bernard out there, it drives all of us at Pewter Report crazy. What are you doing?
Me too.
They can't get the running game going, and they're not using Giovanni Bernard as a supplement to that running game with screens and with different plays. Like Tom Brady utilized that throughout his entire career. When they couldn't get the running game going, guess what? Now we got Deion Lewis, Danny Woodhead, Shane Vereen, James White, Kevin Falk, you name the running back, and they're utilizing that short passing game. Belichick has said it, Brady has said it, as an extension of the running game. And the why they're not doing that with Gio, and he's only seeing limited snaps, is beyond my level of comprehension.
Let me add to that. I've been wondering too, because you bring in a guy like Gio Bernard, who's James White's best friend since high school, I believe. So obviously he's got a big seal of approval there. So why it seems, and things can change, coaches will change over the year, things don't work. But so far it seems like Bruce and his staff are determined to say, no, he's just our third down and maybe even only our 2-minute back. I don't really understand that. I'm not saying you're going to give him a ton of carries necessarily. I don't think he's necessarily that type of back, although he might contribute there. But just as another receiving threat, again, another guy that I think could be a difficult matchup for if you can isolate him on a linebacker. And we've seen him over his career. I think he's had quite a bit of success. He caught how many passes last year? I don't know off the top of my head. But in the passing game, he's such a weapon. Brady He's never caught less than 30?
Never caught less
He's
than
never
30
caught less than 30.
Yeah.
Right. And Brady loves to throw to his back. And obviously he's got a ton of riches here at the receiver and tight end position. But, you incorporate a running back that can actually catch the ball, that can run routes, that can make, give you matchup problems for a defense. I don't really understand why he's got him pigeonholed into a role that he's only a third down / 2-minute offense back. It almost seems like a waste of a roster spot, but it's a waste of a good resource. Again, like I said, I do think, we've seen Arians last year. He did adapt after it seemed early in the year like things just weren't happening. So I think eventually he will, but just wonder how much more you need to see before you say, all right.
The only thing I'm thinking of,
now's the time to make that move. But, like I said, eventually.
Go ahead, JC.
The only thing I could think of is that he wants him healthy for a stretch run. He doesn't want to risk an injury because of how important and how useful he can be down the line.
And that's a good point, because we have 17 games now. Is that, you think we're going to see some load management techniques with that extra game, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. Especially the wide receiver room. I fully expect them, if they get big leads, by the fourth quarter, to pull as many guys as they can. because of just that load management. You don't want to risk your starters getting hurt if you're up by 30, So definitely pull Tom Brady. Maybe you pull some of the wide receivers. And it's good to get those younger guys work too, Let's get Tyler Johnson. Let's see if Scotty Miller can make those grimy catches. Let's see what Jalen Darden can do. Let's see if O.J. Howard can prove himself. Let's see, if Keyshawn Vaughn is, active for a game. Let's see what he can do or try to get Rojo working, same thing on the defensive side. It's a little harder for the defense, but let's get a better look at Khalil Davis if he's active. Let's get a better look at Pat O'Connor. He showed out in the preseason. Can he do it in a game in the fourth quarter? Let's see what these guys can do. It's not like a different sport like baseball. You pull your quarterback, you can't put him back in, or you pull these players, you can't put them back in. But I would expect it. I don't think this is not a team. I think Bruce is going to say, all right, we got the number 1 seed locked up week 18, everyone's sitting. I don't see him doing that. I mean, he played his starters in the third preseason game when most people didn't. So, but taking them out when they're up big, if they're up big, in the middle of the third, fourth, early in the fourth, definitely see him doing that. You got. I mean, for as young as this roster is, there are still some older players on this roster, and you got to protect them at all costs because they're important. JPP, Sue, Brady, Gronk.
If our starters didn't play in that third preseason game, we could have lost against Dallas, I think, too. I think that's an overlooked aspect there. A lot of people were doubting playing them in the third preseason game, but it paid off, if you ask me. And, I don't know about you.
No, I completely agree. I think that that third preseason game did exactly what BA wanted it to do, and get the rust off, get game speed action going. Unfortunately for the Bucs, it was a Thursday night game, and we know their track record on Thursday night games not good. So that combined with just a good game plan by Kellen Moore, as Kat said earlier, they really took advantage of the spots that they could only take advantage of. And it's week 1. It's still a little sloppy play by everybody, but hey, when the time came, you give Brady a minute 24 seconds left. You probably should have taken a little more time off of that. Because he's gonna do Brady like things. And hey, guess what? Tampa Bay's got a kicker now, so suck up for the win.
I love suck up. It's great having suck up. It's like when our kicker used to kick, Grammatica, he was pretty good. But after Grammatica, Barth had his moments here and there. Obviously, Matt Bryant was a pretty good. I will say Bryant was pretty good for us. Barth had his moments. But other than that, whenever we trotted a kicker out there, it was like hold your breath type moment. But now when suck up kicks, you expect him to make the kick. It's not, he's going out there anymore. You're not questioning, is he going to make this kick? You're pretty damn confident that he is going to make the kick.
Unless it's an extra point.
I got such flashbacks when I saw Minnesota's kicker miss that kick, the ends, pushed it. Looked like it was good. Their announcer thought it was good. I was thinking of the last Bucs game I was at was the Daniel Jones, Matt Gay game. That game, when my friend Connor said to me, we lose this game 32-31, I am not coming back this season. And I stuck with that. I was just irate. Now, granted, I know in hindsight now, if the Bucs had won that game, we probably don't get Wirfs and Winfield. So there we go. I reconciled it. I mean, a bunch of New Jersey Giants fans in my face because our kicker couldn't make a fucking chip shot. But anyway, yeah, when I saw Minnesota miss that kick after he made like 252-yarders, I think, he just pushes it, and Gus Johnson goes apoplectic. I'm like, I saw that happen before. It was to my team. I'm like, well, I feel for you Viking fans a little bit because you've had that happen to you a lot over the years. Minnesota has.
The crazy thing about that, that kicker that missed that field goal, Greg Joseph, the Buccaneers kicker on the practice squad the entire year protected.
That is wild.
That's right. I didn't even remember he was. I remember him with the Browns for some reason. I could be mixing up names now.
No, I think this is the Browns.
I was like, yeah. I think it's, and I'm like, they've had their problems at kicker too, going way back. I'm not gonna reveal my age here, but way back. But yeah, I was like, oh wow, because their announcer thought it was good, and Gus Johnson realized it wasn't, and that was great announcing moment right there. Shout out to him and Aqib Talib. I enjoyed their crew as well.
They just
Maybe the
announced that
Bucs will get him sometime.
they'll be back every Sunday. They announced Gus Johnson will be here to stay with Aqib Talib on Sundays. Gus was just doing college for a little bit. He filled in from NFL time to time. He started NFL, then college. Now he's doing both. So they did announce him and Talib our partnership this NFL season. Cody, I want you to take our Twitter question. Give your opinion first. We got a question from Twitter. Olivia S. asked, will Lenny F. and Rojo benefit in the run game with AB out? Less passes, ? More so a fantasy question. Cody, what say you about that?
I mean, I hope not. I'm not big on either of our running backs, especially not Rojo. But, I mean, I could see them maybe trying to get the run game going, slow it down a little bit so it doesn't turn into a shootout, which I expect this game to turn into a shootout because our defense just has not been good. I mean, if we can't slow down Matt Ryan and them, we're not slowing down McVay with Stafford and all that. So I expect a shootout. But, I mean, yeah, I could see – as far as fantasy-wise, I wouldn't want either of them just because you never know. One might get 10 carries one week, one might get 15. I personally wish Arians would just come out and name Lenny the starter. I think Lenny is better in every aspect of the game than Rojo. Not that that's saying, I hate talking bad about our players. I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to play to the strength of our team, which even with AB out, the strength of our team is still Tom Brady and the wide receivers. So, but yeah, I could see, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball, try and set up play action, stuff like that. But I wouldn't be expecting a huge bump in the run game unless it's, for whatever reason, working really well. So no, I wouldn't. But
what say you, JC?
I would not either.
Yeah, I mean, I think they want to get the run game going. I think they want to get the run game going last week. Thankfully, they're not doing what they've done last year and the year prior is running the ball on first down overwhelming amount of times. They've actually started passing it, which is great for this team and great for what this offense is built for. But at some point, you have to have a run game to balance things out, or else you're going to be looking like that Saints game last year when you ran the ball 5 times and you throw it 1,000,000 times. You can't have that week in and week out. You have to have some balance. As far as setting up play action, even with a crappy running game, last week, the Bucs were still very, very effective in play action. So, having a solid run game definitely helps set that up. But, so far Brady's proven you don't need an effective one to do it. You just need to have that chance of it happening. I think he was 10 of 14 for 140 something yards and 2 touchdowns out of play action last week on 35% of the snaps, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on those numbers. I know it's 2 tutties though, for sure. 10 of 14 and 2 tutties. I locked in the percentage and the number of yards. You look it up. It's on pewterreport.com. But I think that fantasy-wise, stay far away from them. If you want to put them in a DFS, a daily fantasy, sure. If you have them on your team, you probably should start shopping them and see if you can, swindle another Bucs fan into taking them if you're in a Bucs fan league. Nothing like the horrible trade that I just encountered in one of the leagues that I just was in. But, it doesn't, I don't know, man. You have to get it going, but I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can against this.
Don't force
this
it.
Rams team.
Yeah, not against the Rams. If Atlanta, against Atlanta, they seem to get a little going, but and then there were some plays where it seemed like there were holes there, including the Fournette play on the 4th and 1. I think it looked like there was a nice hole there to run through, and somehow did he run into his own guy? Whatever happened, he just stutter stepped and couldn't pick up the yard. It looked like he had a gaping hole. So it's not like the offense, to me, it doesn't look like the offensive line is failing to create openings for these guys to run through. They're just not, whatever reason, they're just not really finding much on the ground. And yeah, I wouldn't think that against the Rams that you're going to have more success doing that. I don't think.
And Cats, I mean, it's not just you got the Rams, right? But then next week you got the Patriots, who have a solid run defense. Then you have the Dolphins, another solid run defense. Then you have Philadelphia, Fletcher Clocks, another solid run. So it's not like they don't have a break from solid run defenses. So if you're going to, last week, Grady Jarrett, Marlon Davidson, week 1 against a third-round pick and a career journeyman backup, you couldn't get the run game going. Now it's all in. Yeah, not to say, again, like I'm not saying force it, but you got to get something going because the defensive line fronts are just going to they're not getting any easier for you. And now you have to prove it against tough defensive opponent fronts.
The Bears actually looked week 1. The Bears actually did look tremendous on the ground against the Rams. I will say David Montgomery ran the ball very effective. He had over 100.
David Montgomery,
but we also have a whole lot better offensive line than the Chicago Bears do.
That is true.
That's true.
It's not even a comparison. Living in Chicago, I get to enjoy the things sometimes on Chicago radio and. Hearing these guys talk about Bears offensive line, holy hell, you would think it's like a guy describing his ex-wife sometimes. It's like, holy, they're really talking that bad and nasty about him. But obviously, David Montgomery was a guy too. Before the start to this season and before the end of last season, a lot of Bears fans were like, this guy's not that great of a runner. So, he's coming on strong lately. But it's just an example that you can have an effective ground game. Not saying we will, not saying our guys will, but you never know. Lenny F. and Rojo have both proven they can do it. Obviously, Rojo's trending down. We all said that. Hopefully, Rojo could snap out of it. But we do have a lot of, like Keyshawn Vaughn, third-round pick. We haven't really gotten his toes wet too much. As you guys said, Gio Bernard, obviously, former Chiefs running back Darwin Thompson. It's like we do have options at the running back position, just in case Rojo doesn't seem to fix his errors and whatnot. But from offense to defense, I want to ask you something, JC. Do we see either new, and then I want Kat's and Cody's opinion as well, do we see either new defensive back, Pierre Dozier or Rashard Robinson Sunday or at all this season for that matter?
I think we see Pierre this week. He was protected as a cornerback this week. Last week they had Herb Miller. They didn't bring Herb Miller up, but I think that they probably look to bring him up this week. It also depends too on AB and certain things as well. But I think if AB can't go, JPP can't go. I think he comes up. He might come up anyways, just to give them some a veteran guy back there as well to take some pressure off. Ross Cockrell's looked pretty good. Jamel Dean looks like he's good to go. Mike Edwards, defensive player of the week. So, he's sure to get some more, but definitely I think Pierre is an option to come up. Right now, you only have 4 cornerbacks, and Cameron Kinley hasn't been able to. Not Cameron Kinley. D. Delaney, hasn't really been able to find himself in the game for any serious snaps. So, if you can bring him in here, and this is a guy who had 3 interceptions last year, 1 for a touchdown. Great locker room guy, was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, even when he wasn't in the locker room anymore. So I think, he's a potential guy to see. Rashad, he just came in this week, so I'm not necessarily sure that they're going to look to bring him in this early. It's going to take some time, but another guy who's had some experience around the league. And, D. Delaney, he played his what off and grabbed that last roster spot. And deserved it. But if you bring a guy who's got experience when you're banged up, that's what you need to do, and Pierre Dozier can play outside. So I definitely think he's a sincere possibility to come up this week.
And throughout his career, he has shown flashes, and it stemmed back to his days with the Colts. He's one of those guys, he makes some great plays, he makes some not great plays, but nonetheless, Cats, he is a veteran D-back body.
I would expect him. If we're short at the position, and given the way the Rams seemed to attack us last year and how they run their offense, I would expect him to be up here.
Cody, what say you, and what's your opinion? And then also, Cody, I want to get your thoughts on the Richard Sherman rumors floating around as well.
I think I agree with y'all with bringing Pierre, especially since I haven't heard anything about Carlton's hamstring this week, but I know those are a tricky thing, and we don't have much depth. I hope we don't see him in the game. I would like to see Edwards play more slot again. I feel like if we're seeing him much in the game, that's because somebody's hurt. So I hope we don't see him in the actual game, but we'll see how that goes. As far as Richard Sherman, I just have to assume it's just a money thing, and I hope they get the money thing worked out. If he's healthy, I feel like he's better than any corner on our team not named Carlton Davis. Or, he at least was the last time he played. I went back and looked at some of his numbers. A lot of people said and his numbers were bad compared to peak Richard Sherman, but his numbers aren't bad compared to what we have on our team right now. I can assure you that. He's probably the best player, not Carlton Davis on our team if he came. And he's no crafty veteran. And we play a lot of zone. He was good in zone. I think he could pick it up quick. And if there's a way to make it work financially, I am all for bringing in Richard Sherman. I'm not too worried about the off-field stuff. We had that with AB. That's been fine. We got a strong leadership on our team, coaches, players. If given a chance, I hope so. I hope we do bring him in.
JC, you hear any traction, or what's the current situation, or your thoughts with Richard Sherman?
Yeah, it's just, checking out the situation, seeing where he's at mentally, seeing where he's at physically, checking in with the league, making sure there's not going to be any repercussions if he does sign to a roster. But, for the scheme fit and for the player itself, I mean, I really can't touch more on besides what Cody said. He hit the nail on the head. I mean, as a player, his skills and his stats have diminished, but not to the point where he's not going to be the best, the immediate number 2 corner on this league. And as Cody said, I mean, he fits this offense to it, this defense to a T. I mean, he's a guy that can come in and play and be productive right away. Savvy veteran. I mean, he went to Stanford. He's a smart guy. I think he can pick up the playbook real quickly. And you sign him on a Monday. I think he's lacing up the pads on a Sunday for you. So maybe they try to hold off a couple days, couple weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him signed. If he is going to play here, if he does decide to get the money worked out, 3 weeks from now, after that Thursday night game, give him that extra, that mini bye to kind of get caught up in the system. I could see that happening. I know they could use him now, and I know 3 weeks from now, the injury report for Sean Murphy-Bunting. But even if Sean Murphy-Bunting does come back and is healthy, I think, you're trying to win a championship. You push your cards into the table, push your chips all in, and if you can find someone that can help you at a position, and we've all talked about it, this team has very, very few weaknesses on it. Cornerback, you can call it one, because of the inconsistent play. I don't think any of these cornerbacks that we have are bad cornerbacks. Let me get this straight. But their inconsistencies in play makes them a liability on the defense sometimes. And if you can get a guy who can shore that up and not be that liability and still be able to employ these guys as well in different packages and different looks and get crazy with it like Bowles loves to do, it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. So yeah, I'm all aboard. I'm all for it. And, hopefully everything checks out and they can work out a monetary, deal and get them in here.
Yeah, I was when I wasn't unsure, like when SMB first went down, a lot of people thought 3 to 6 weeks, and then people found out it was more so perhaps season ending. At first, I was more so just bringing in the Pierre Desir type or, a Prince Amukamara type if SMB was only out a couple weeks. But then you find out he's almost out for the year. And Richard Sherman makes more sense even now than he did before. As you said, I was telling my brother this the other day, he's a guy you could sign and you could put on the active roster right away, opposed to a guy needing to come on the practice squad, learn the system, even if it is a Rashad Robinson, Pierre Desir. You trust Richard Sherman enough, even if he doesn't play 100% of the defensive snaps or anywhere near that. You sign him on a Monday, he could be on you on a Sunday, or like you said, you perhaps give him the mini bye week and a half to catch him up on the playbook or whatnot. But the idea is growing on me more and more. Like I said, the SMB out for perhaps a year, it impacted me a little bit, persuaded me a little more for Richard Sherman. But
which is crazy because I literally talked to him like the next day. He's like, "Oh, it's just sore. It's just a little sore. That's it. I'll get through it." I'm like, "Wait, are you going on?" Then I asked him, I'm like, "Wait, are you going on IR?" He's like, "I don't know." Turns out, and it turns into this big thing. So it's crazy. Another name too out there And I'm not hearing anything. My ears to the ground, but I'm not hearing on this. This is just speculation on my part. J.C. Jackson has looked really good for the Patriots. 2 interceptions last year. Continues to just be a ball hawking. I don't think they're trading him, but they're going to have to pay him. And there's another guy on their team that wants to get paid. He wants to get paid, but he's on PUP. He's out for the first 6 weeks. If he comes back healthy, trading a first round pick, second round pick, third round pick, whatever it's going to take to shore up that back end, essentially you might be buying a Super Bowl, by trading away valuable pick, but there's a lot of depth on this team, and the players that are leaving are, can kind of be replaced. I mean, you're looking at running back, and where if you buy into the trade of thought that you can find a running back a dime a dozen, I think they keep Carlton Davis. I think Mike Edwards can move to free safety. You can move Antoine Winfield over to strong safety and be that kind of hybrid player, not necessarily Jordan Whitehead, but and then you're replacing defensive line. You got your first round pick still. You trade your second, maybe a fifth or something, and you get Stephon Gilmore. I mean, you got Carlton Davis and Gilmore to lock out the outside. I mean, I think that puts you in a real good position, better position than it does if you get what's his name over there. And I think he's only going to cost you $1 million too, because of the way his contract is set up. So it will be interesting to see how it all plays out.
That'd be incredible if the Bucs are able to maneuver that trade. And Gilmore is one of the top corners in the game, and that would be incredible. I go back and forth on disposing picks or not, as we are expected to perhaps lose a couple of bodies this offseason for sure. But like you said, those could be replaceable positions such as running back, backup tight ends, etc., so forth, things like that. Expendable for sure. Some guys are going to be hard to replace. That could be the nature of the beast, but we thought we were going to lose guys like that this year. We didn't lose too many of them. So, I think they positioned themselves well to be able to move on from Jordan Whitehead if he's asking for too much money. I think they positioned themselves well to potentially move on from either Kappa or Jensen if they ask for too much money. Gronk's going to come back for another year. He's just going to. I mean, Cam Brate has an option here, but they'll probably pick that up. So you'll have your 1-2 tight end back. Chris Godwin, I think, doesn't go anywhere. Him and Mariah have said that they want to stay in a warm climate weather. Well, their family lives in Delaware. I don't see them moving too far. She's very family orientated, and her brother's always down here. So I don't see them moving too far away from their roots. If you start to look at the map, okay, let's move to Texas, right? Dallas doesn't need a wide receiver of Godwin. Nobody's going to Houston. Miami, potentially, that could be a potential fit for Godwin. Jacksonville, no one's going to Jacksonville right now, not under Urban Meyer. And then you look Atlanta. Does it really want to go to play in Atlanta? I mean, it's a warm weather destination, I guess, but and that's it. Tennessee's not warm weather. It's warm in the summertime, but it's not warm all year round. Plus, they have their foundation here. I think at the end of the day, Godwin signs here for like $17.5, $18 million. Calls it a day. Leaves some money on the table. Definitely could probably get 20 if he continues to have a good year. But leaves some money on the table. Stays where he's comfortable. Stays close to home. Doesn't move out to the West Coast. Which, by the way, unless he's going to the Raiders. The Chargers are pretty good at wide receiver. They just paid Keenan Allen a boatload of money. And obviously we know the Rams, because we're playing them this week, have stocked up at wide receiver too. So he's not going to the Cardinals, who just drafted Rondale Moore and got Hopkins. So you start crossing off destinations. And there's really, if he really is serious about staying in a warm weather climate, and what they've said that they wanted to do as recently as this past year on her little on her Instagram, Q&A. Where are you going? Miami, maybe? Okay. Go play with Tua. Have fun. Have fun wasting away in Miami. Wasting away in Miamiville. So have fun. But I don't think
I don't see him leaving. I don't have as much intel as you, but I don't see him leaving either. I've never gotten the idea that he would leave.
Brown is more likely to leave than anybody. Because he's going to reset his value. He wasn't leaving this year because his value people still question. But next year, I mean, his value, he could Brown could probably earn himself maybe a 3-year, $21 million deal on the open market. Something like that.
I could see that.
If with a team that trusts that he's reset, rehabilitated, and everything like that, and can still play at a high level. So I mean, it's an option or 2 years, the team option. I don't know, something like that. But that's going way off track from Richard Sherman to Tampa. I apologize.
Hey, I love it. That's the beauty of talking Bucs ball with some of the best around. You could talk, you can get down rabbit holes, and it could lead to great discussions. You don't have to stay on topic to have good convos and discussion. Richard Sherman already bringing benefits to Tampa, good talk. So we appreciate that, Sherm dog. Anyways, fellas, I want to get score predictions now and one player on each squad to look out for. One Rams player, one Bucs player, and score predictions in the big Week 3 showdown of the battles of the undefeated. Actually, not too many undefeated teams around the NFL. Only 2 in the AFC and 5 in the NFC, I believe. 7 total, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's 3 in one division. There's the Rams, there's the 49ers, there's the Cardinals, Tampa, and Carolina. I think that's the 5 in the NFC. And then
Carolina
you got
should make it a 3-0.
Yeah, Mills.
And the Texans? Yeah, I'm kidding. For the whole
and then you got the Raiders.
Game, that's what they're gonna put on.
What's up, Cats?
What a Thursday night game. They actually decided before the season that was going to be their Thursday night game.
Honestly,
people watch football.
I agree with you, but if Tyrod didn't get hurt, you never know. That could have been a little entertaining game. Tyrod was looking decent.
And every primetime game has been good. Every primetime game has been good. Monday wasn't as good, but, Gronk and Peyton and Eli made it better. So maybe this will come down to the wire and be another good one of those good games. I doubt it. Don't hold your breath.
Hey.
It'll be nice for scouting, though. It'll be definitely nice for scouting the Panthers.
I'll smile if Carolina takes that L. If Houston can knock him off, if Mills gets the rookie win, and Brandon Cooks is a pretty damn good receiver. He's one of those guys who he's undervalued all the damn time. Year in and year out, that guy just goes so overlooked, and I don't know.
Because he gets injured all the time, like a concussion in the Super Bowl that cost the Pats a Super Bowl win.
Hey, I know,
I'm not jealous. I'm not salty on it or anything. Protect your damn head.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from, JC. Since you got the stage right now, what's your score prediction looking like for Sunday? One Rams guy, one Bucs guy. Who you think will rise to the occasion?
I'll start with the players. I wrote about it in our Bucs briefing today. Check it out at pewterreport.com if you haven't already. Some of my compadres, rightfully so, picked Matt Stafford. Aaron Donald was chosen. John cheated and picked Sean McVay. Such a cheater. We said players to watch out for. He chose a coach. But I picked the guy who tore us up last time and who I think has the best shot at tearing us up again, and that's Cooper Kupp. You got to watch out for this guy. Jamel Dean, if you're playing Jamel Dean on him, you cannot put him off. He needs to be bump and run. He needs to be stabbing and jabbing and running with him. You can't have him play off coverage. It does not work. He's not that great of a corner doing that. If you're playing Mike Edwards on him, no, you can play a little off zone. But, so much to do is with his coverage. This Buccaneers defense has faced 15 more passes on them than any team in the league. Teams know we can't run this ball against them. We have to pass it. So, and Tom just keeps doing Tom things and scoring in 3 minutes and putting the defense back out there. Tom, running game, get it together. Give the defense a breather. But I think Cooper Kupp's the guy you definitely got to look out for. I hate to say it again, but could we see 4 straight games of 2 tutties? I think we could. I think Gronk is the guy to watch because they lost Jalen Johnson last year. JJ was just in a great safety. Now he's with the Browns. Tyler Rapp is just not the guy. And I think they have Jordan Fuller back there as well. Let me just double check so I'm not making up stuff on the spot. Yeah, Jordan Fuller back there. Pretty good safeties on their own. But neither of those guys are going to be able to cover Gronk. If Gronk takes down the seam and the linebacker passes him off, good luck. And if the linebacker doesn't pass him off, and one of those safeties are double covering a guy like Godwin, if they don't put Jalen Ramsey on Godwin, which I think would be the best move for them, because Ramsey has mostly played outside last year. This year, in 2 games, he's been playing inside and outside. I think if you are the Rams, you want to put Ramsey on Godwin and then go one high over the top with Evans and trust, because I think Godwin is the guy who's going to do the most damage on this offense. If you put Darius Williams on Chris Godwin for the entire game with no help over the top, good luck. And if you do put help over the top, now you got Gronk lined up one-on-one either versus safety or a linebacker, and he's going to feast because now Ramsey's taking on Mike Evans. And if AB is playing, forget about it, because now you have AB and Gronk eating all game against, their inside linebacking core, which is not great. Tony Reeder, Kenny Young, and now you have AB if he can play going up against David Long Jr., who, good luck. And, I think the Bucs will just be able to move the ball at will. So I think Gronk is a guy, no matter what, you can't double him. No matter what you do, you cannot double him against this team because you just don't have a good enough number 2 cornerback. You can't say, okay, Jalen Ramsey, you shadow Mike Evans, and this guy, you take Chris Godwin one-on-one, because Chris Godwin's going to just – not that Chris Godwin is not going to get, this guy's not going to get the better of Chris Godwin. Darius Williams not going to here and there. He's an NFL player for a reason, but on a consistent level basis, Chris Godwin should be able to cook this guy. And if that's the case, and they have to move a safety over there for help, because we all know Chris Godwin can go deep, that's going to leave Gronk wide open one-on-one against either a slower linebacker or a smaller DB, and he's going to eat. So Cooper Kupp for me, you got to look out for him, because I think he can do the same thing against this defense with Robert Woods being locked down by CD3. So it's Cooper Kupp and Rob Gronkowski. Final score prediction, it comes down to a field goal. I'm not saying whether it's Ryan Suckup for the win. I'm not saying whether it's Matt Gay for the loss, although I know that would make Cats very happy. Redemption! But I think it comes down to 34-33. Although some weird part of me is saying this is going to be a low-scoring game. I can't go against that. It's my gut saying this could be a low-scoring game for some reason. For some crazy reason, this could be just a low-scoring game. But I'm going to go against that. I'm going to say, no, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to, last minute, last couple drives coming down to the fourth quarter, and it's going to be 34-31 Buccaneers.
34-31 Buccaneers. I'll say my thoughts in a bit. I kind of do agree with you, though. I have a weird feeling it could be a defensive battle. You never know. But obviously expectations are shootout. Cats, what say you on player from the Rams, player from the Bucs, score prediction?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, I don't pay a lot of attention to the Rams. So I was going to say Cooper Kupp.
Just go.
I got to pick a different one, right? Because Cooper Kupp is such an obvious one. Is the tight end from Newport Richie healthy? I don't even know. I can't even remember his name. Yeah, is he even healthy?
Yeah, Higbee's healthy.
Is he?
Yeah, but he's going to miss Levante David. If he trusts Devin White, maybe, because he's been a little bit bad and worse from coverage in the start of the season. But
yeah, I'm not really worried about the tight end. I mean, I always mention, I don't remember he's from he's from Tarpon Springs. I'm sorry, but any case, local guy. The Rams, I mean, I guess, yeah. Wow.
Just go Aaron Donald.
What the heck? You know what? I'll say that. You know what? No. You know what? I am laying down. Yes, Melanie. I will go with the tight end because I think it's such an obvious one, and probably rightfully so, that you're going to look at Woods and Cooper Kupp, that they might look to the tight end and try to find some, dead spots over the middle and look to him. So, I haven't seen teams throw to the tight end much against. I don't know if we've even given up. We given up a reception to the tight end. I don't know. Sometimes the element of surprise. So yeah, did we? Did Dallas go to the tight end? I can't even.
No, I mean they did, but not really.
Schultz. Right, yeah. Schultz. Yeah. Yes, I'll say Tyler Higbee. It's just an out there thing that you keep an eye on him because the Bucs are probably going to pay so much attention to Cooper Kupp and Woods. For the Bucks, I'm gonna go with. I mean, this might be too obvious. Vita Vea, especially if JPP is out, he's gonna need to have a big game. I don't feel like that's a stretch to expect it, but they're gonna take on the double team, right? So, but he's gonna need to be as good as he's been the last two games. I think he's up for the test. Yeah. Score prediction. Wow. My heart says the Bucks win this game. My head says they don't. Why don't they? Well, the Rams are a darn good team. 2, they've won 10 in a row. They're due to lose 1. 3, they might be without AB and they might be without JPP. So I feel like we're up against a storm here, and I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm gonna pick the Rams. I'm gonna say 28-24.
Oh, Kat, you broke my
Sorry,
heart,
everyone's
man.
shocked. I know. I'm being honest. Well, I'm being honest, and I really want to be wrong, and I want to be so wrong.
We respect the shit out of you for your honesty, bro. Like, you were honest, man.
Well,
you
it's
were
not
honest.
that I think we're a better. I think the Rams are better than us. It's not that I don't think we can beat them. We certainly can. We had a chance last year. We nearly had them, nearly beat them. We did beat them the year before. A lot of things different than then. I just think between all the things that looks like the adversity the Bucks are dealing with right now, and traveling to the West Coast, the Rams are playing. They didn't play great, but they did beat Indy. I just get the feeling like we're due to lose a game, and this. A lot of the things are lining up against us here with AB and potentially JPP out. So that's why I'm going with the Rams, really.
Yeah, I'll give my take, my thoughts, and then we'll end with Cody to wrap up the segment, and then end the pod with some final thoughts. But to reiterate on JC's comments about Chris Godwin, getting guarded by Ramsey, that's what he would do. I think maybe Bruce Arians is trying to play a little bit of chess here, and he mentioned heavily today about Mike Evans is probably going to be the one getting, locked down by Ramsey. Mike Evans is going to get guarded by Ramsey. Bruce kind of kept saying it. I think, he's messing with the Rams a little bit potentially, just saying, hey, I hope you put him on Evans, because if you do, then we're just going to freaking hit you with the Godwin stick, and then we're going to hit you with the Gronk underneath. I think Bruce knows what he's doing, perhaps, by mentioning Evans and Ramsey alongside there, but that's nonetheless, it's cool enough for Bruce to actually take opposing media press conference questions. Coaches aren't required to do that anymore, but Bruce Arians actually did that today, and he took pressers from the Rams media. So I do love our coach, and I do love what he talks about and whatnot. But my players I'm going with for the Rams, I think that Carlton Davis is on Cooper Kupp. So I think that Robert Woods is a player to watch. Robert Woods really hasn't, he has a touchdown this year, but he never really has gotten going to this point yet this year. He hasn't had a big game yet this year. Robert Woods is a guy that you got to watch in this one. It'll be interesting. Obviously, Cody mentioned Mike Edwards played decent in some corner last week. Jamel Dean, Bruce Arians mentioned, played pretty good in some corner last week. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up getting the fair share at Robert Woods. It could be, other corners as well. But I think that Robert Woods is the guy to watch, because all eyes are going to be on Cooper Kupp. So, I think Robert Woods could ultimately have some plays drawn up. And it used to be where Kupp would have a big game, Woods would have a big game, Kupp would have a big game, Woods would have a big game. So, we'll see what happens with the wide receivers. Melanie's had some good comments.
They both went off for over 100 yards last year. I mean, combined, they had 23 catches for over almost 260 yards and a score. So, I mean, they're both capable of going off on you. Van Jefferson caught a touchdown last year, too.
Yeah, I think his first career touchdown.
Yeah.
It was his first, and Van Jefferson also had a big week 1, but Robert Woods would be my guy to watch. Yes, they could very much both have good games. We'll hope that won't happen, because that would be a long day for our defense, I would think, if that were to happen. My Bucks player of the game, I'm going with L.A. Marpet, and Marpet I think he's going to anchor down Donald. He's going to be key. If Aaron Donald beats him, it could be a long day for this pass game and run game. But if Marpet could get the better of Donald, which I think he will best Donald, the Bucs O-line actually did a hell of a job against Donald last year. Honestly, you did not hear Aaron Donald much that Monday night game. And it's kind of funny because everyone, I know Donald had a really good year last year, but a lot of pictures go around and it's Donald in that Bucs game for some reason on social medias and whatnot. But he really didn't do much during that Bucs game. You know what I'm talking about, though?
They used it the other day. I said that the other day. I think it was Dove Kleiman or whatever. I was like, why would they use this picture against the Bucs when he got stonewalled? So.
Yeah, you said that. I was trying to think who said that on Twitter, and that's right. My man JC said that. I was thinking that too, though. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why are they using it? But everyone hates the Bucs now.
Click.
Clickbait, clickbait. Yeah. Everyone wants to read about the Bucs for better or for worse. So why not clickbait? But I think Ellie
He's
Marpet,
the most recognizable guy on the Rams. I think Donald's just the most recognizable guy when you think of the Rams. That's who comes to mind first.
Oh no, they specifically used
you
the
put
graphic
Cooper Kupp on there. I would.
I was going to say in that picture they specifically used a graphic of the Buccaneers with Aaron Donald. Saying like Aaron Donald, is this good of a player? Mentioning his stats and everything like that. When he got blanked out last year, it's like, why would you use a picture of him going against the Bucs when they blanked him last year?
Correct.
But as Tone said, it's just because the Bucs are the team right now to market against.
Yeah.
If you put Cooper Kupp's picture up there, who's going to recognize him? I'm sorry to say it, but I shouldn't be saying that about our opponent. But I wouldn't recognize Cooper Kupp.
Didn't you go to Western Kentucky?
No, it was just highlighting Donald's stats. That's what it was doing.
Yeah, it was just Aaron Donald's stats.
They wouldn't put up Kupp's pictures for Donald's stats, but they just happened to put him up against the Bucs, which made no sense. As Tones and I was, because he got blanked last year. He didn't do anything. So there's multiple teams that could have put a picture of him up to go along with his stats picture, but they chose the Bucs. So it was just silly. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that somewhere. It happened to come from JC. It was just wild to me. Yeah, it was stupid, but I think Ellie Marpet is going to lock him down, and I'm hoping to God that he does, and I think we will. We got Ryan Jensen in the trenches, but Marpet's going to be the key there. He's our best offensive lineman. He's been our best since, a handful of years now. We're all Tristan Wirfs is up there. I mean, it's arguable, but you guys know what I mean. He's the anchor to the O-line. He has been for quite some time now. So I think it's Marpet for the Bucs. I think it's Robert Woods for the Rams, and I'm going with final score. It's funny because we beat the Rams 2 years ago in the Rams in LA, and then, we lost last year in Tampa, and now it's in LA again. I'm sensing a little trend here. I think we get a little momentum going, and Melanie, our good friend Melanie B, shout out to you, and thanks for joining us this evening on the Buccaneers. We do appreciate it. But you commented, I think it comes down to mistakes and penalties. It's 100% correct, and the Bucs have been making hella mistakes. They've been committing hella penalties, and I think that's something they work on this week a lot, especially being shorthanded, and I think they cut back on those things. And I think the Bucs come out. I think the Bucs win this game. I'm going with, even though JC, he isn't throwing the fishing rod out there completely, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a little more towards the defensive battle. Still a good amount of points scored, but I'm going with 26-21 Bucs in this one. I think that our defense comes to play. I think that Suckup gets a good amount of field goals in this puppy. He's been an extra points guy so far this year. I think his field goal stick comes out to play in this one. 26-21. I know a lot of people are thinking shootout. Not too low scoring, but not a shootout. 26-21 Bucs. I'm going with Cody. You take it home, and then we'll close it out.
I would like to trust the low-scoring game, but until our defense shows me that they can stop an inferior opponent, there's no way I can't go that low. I guess I'll go with the score first. I'm thinking more like 38-34 Bucs. I think the difference is we score more touchdowns, they score more field goals. The players, I think, and last year Donald was mainly against Kappa. Kappa was getting help against Jensen, but they moved him because they didn't want him going against Marpet, which is smart, but it didn't work out for him. But I know it's easy. I wanted to pick Cup. I figured you guys would pick Cup. That dude has eaten our lunch before. He's going off this year. Awesome run after the catch guy. But I'm going to go with Donald. If you keep Tom Brady upright, he's going to score points. AB, no AB, it doesn't matter. If you protect Tom Brady, he's going to score points. So, yeah, just whoever he's up against, double him, whatever you got to do. Keep Aaron Donald out of the backfield. And then for our team, I'm interested to see, what do they do with Ramsey? That, like JC said, he could potentially shadow Godwin. He could be on Mike. That's tough. But if JPP's out, I want to see the rookie. What can the rookie do? Can the rookie make us some splash plays? We're gonna need splash plays, turnovers, sacks. That's the only way we're gonna stop their offense. Other than that, they're gonna move right up and down the field on us, just like the last two teams we played have. So I think that's the only. It's gonna take sacks and turnovers. That's what we got to do. So. Maybe the rookie come out there fired up and get a lot more looks this week. And, I expect at least one sack from JPP in playing. So we'll see how that goes.
Which I will say, I was heavily impressed with the way the Colts played against these Rams last week. I happened to be focused on that game at noon. My brother's a Colts fan. I happened to be at the home opener for Colts Seahawks. Shout out to my neighbor John Radigan, linebacker on the Seahawks, made his NFL debut that day as well, which is pretty damn cool to be there. But for the Colts side of things, they look like not too great opening day against Seattle, then came back last week. Should have beat the Rams. The Colts had two possessions that got down to the 1 yard line. One of them bad play calling, four and out, got stuffed at the 1 3 times in a row, then play action, got sacked. And then the other time Carson went through an underhanded interception at the goal line. So really the Colts could have won this game by as many as 10 points if they scored touchdowns on both of those, not discrediting the Rams, but Colts really handled them. Colts really should have won that game, and Colts were the better team in that football game this past Sunday. So it'll be interesting to me what happens this Sunday. Will the Rams fix a couple things up that the Colts exposed him for this past Sunday? We'll see. Obviously, the Rams chopped up the Bears. It'll be interesting because the Bucs barely squeaked by Dallas, and then it got a little close for Atlanta. So I really think this will be a great test for both of these teams, and whoever does come out on top at 3-0 will have a lot of momentum in the NFC. That's for damn sure. So
statement game. It's a statement game for both teams. Both teams. This is your chance to prove you are a legit Super Bowl contender or whatever. This is a huge game. Make no mistake about that. This is definitely a statement game for both teams.
Yeah, and for down the road too. I mean, seeding wise, if you both finish with the same record, I mean, who gets the number one seed? It's gonna be really interesting. Just final thoughts on this game. I agree. I think whether JPP plays or not, I think, and I'm gonna keep saying it till it happens. Said it last week. I think JTS is gonna get a sack this game. I think you're gonna see a lot the pressure get home. I think that's going to be preached because it has been getting there, just not getting home. I think they're going to get after Stafford quite a few times. Whether they cause a turnover or not, maybe we'll see. But I definitely think they get home at least one 2 to 3 times against Stafford this week. But you got to come out here. You got to play mistake free, penalty free, big things. I know Bruce has been harping on that. You can't beat yourself because this is a team that can take advantage and really beat you if you help them out by beating yourself. So and the ramifications down the line could be huge. So Bruce has preached first thing on the list, obviously win the Super Bowl, but first thing on the list is win the division, then win the conference, then win the Super Bowl. And this is a game right here that could impede you from accomplishing goal number 2 and goal number 3.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, after we won the Super Bowl last year, best feeling in the world. But Bruce said to begin this year, we want to win the division. And as it stands right now, obviously it's early, not saying Carolina's for whatever. They very well could be. They very well can't be. But at this given time, both of these squads have at least one other 2-0 team in our division. So both teams are going to be coming out. They're going to be looking at that standings. no team's in first right now, even though both teams are 2-0. They know how much this game means early on. And like JC said, they know how much this game could mean in the standings for down the line. ACATS, what's your log off? What's your one big takeaway as we send this show home?
Well, like I said, I do believe that, a lot of things are going against us here, but also, I guess at the end of the day, I will say this: if you can keep, if your offensive line plays as well as it has in the first two games, you have a great chance. Also, watch something I've noticed with the Rams over the years. I don't think any team receivers block as well on screen passes as the Rams do. I could be mistaken, so I'm really keeping an eye on that. And JC, maybe I'm wrong. You might know more on that. But as I remember from last year, the way they run their routes and the way their receivers block in this downfield and the screen game particularly gave us a lot of trouble. So I hope that we, look at that, make some adjustments in that regard. That's, to me, very important. I could be wrong, though. I might be talking out of my ass. I don't know. But I thought I remember reading up about the Rams and their receivers and something about that.
Yeah, JC, thanks again so much for joining us. It's been incredible. What's your one big takeaway? And then we'll get to Cody and we'll bounce out.
I think it's exactly what Melanie's got on the screen right now. Mistakes and penalties. Don't beat yourself. You can't afford to. This is a good team. This is the cream of the crop. This is the team that I have as, the Bucs meeting in the NFC Championship game. With their chance to have to play a home Super Bowl on the line in LA. You need to make sure you win this game. You need to make sure you have home field advantage, so they're not playing back-to-back home games, and have them travel cross country instead of you traveling cross country to be in the same city. That's going to be tough. I mean, if you got to play the Rams at home in the NFC Championship game, if you make it that far, and if they make it that far, not only are they playing at home, they're playing at home where they're seeing all the Super Bowls, banners going up, the stadium's getting prepped for the Super Bowl. On the outside, that they're putting the Super Bowl experience together. All that stuff that aura is going to be there, and it's going to be hard for the Ram. It's going to be harder for the Bucs. The Rams are going to be focused. And they're going to want to do the damn thing. They're going to want to go to the dance, and you got to make sure that you win this game. So if that scenario does happen, you're not flying cross country. They're flying cross country. You're not switching time zones, they're switching time zones, and they're not comfortable in their own bed and building off that buzz and that aura in LA, and they're coming here and they have to prove themselves to the Bucs at home. So you can't beat yourself. You got to find a way to win this game. I know it's early, it's week 3, and it's hard to call games must-win games, but looking at this schedule, you can afford to lose against the Patriots next week. You can afford to lose against the Bills. You can't afford to lose against this Rams team that looks to be one of the better teams in this conference, and it could come back and bite you. The losses might come back and bite you against the Pats, against the Bills, against the Dolphins, whatever, against the Colts, whatever team you want to call it, but not as much as this game could hurt you down the line in the playoff seeding.
I agree.
Win at all costs.
I agree. Got to win at all costs against an opponent like this where it could come down to such a big tiebreaker down the road, especially. JC, I agree with you. Cody, what's your final thoughts here?
To kind of touch on what Andrew said, we were talking to our friend Evan Winter, and he said what the Rams do good, we're bad at. Misdirection, screens, run after the catch, all the things they excel at are the things we've been bad at. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes, they're great blocking in the run game, pass game. We just got to be sound, trust your eyes, trust the assignment. Hopefully Bowles is preaching, don't overcommit, everything like that. But let's make a statement. To me, and I know it's not just me, McVay is wildly considered one of the greatest offensive mind play callers in the NFL right now. But Byron's been good this year. He's gotten away from I think John, in fact, wrote an article. It's really not even Arian's scheme anymore. It's somewhere in between Byron's and Tom Brady. It's just gotten better. There's still deep shots, but it's not – I don't know that you can call it a true vertical attack at this point. But go out there and call another great game. Let's play mistake-free football, and let's make a statement. Let's go on the road, beat a team that beat us last year, and let's put the NFC on notice. Not that they shouldn't be anyway. We've got Tom Brady with the Super Bowl champions. but this is a huge game. Go play mistake-free, win the turnover battle, and I think we win this game.
Yep, let's go mistake-free. Let's win the turnover battle. Something that, mistake-free has not been the case of the first two games. Let's make it the case this game. Once again, I think it is going to be a crisp, cleaner game. I'm amped for this one. JC, thank you again so much, my man. One more time, where can the people follow you, get your great content that me, Cats, Cody, and the rest of our gang are already, getting? Where can the rest of the Bucs fans get your stuff at?
Absolutely. PewterReport.com are my articles over there. Make sure you check out our podcast weekly, usually at 4 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. We also have the Pewter Game Day. So we're doing pregame show, in-game live show feed where we're breaking down plays and calling, as it happens. So definitely check that out in our Pewter post-game show as well. All of our content, again, PewterReport.com. You can find me on Twitter at JC Allen NFL, at JCALLEN NFL. Follow me there for all things Bucs, not just what we're doing at Pewter Report, but PFF grades. Anything the Buccaneers are tweeting, I'm tweeting it out. I like to say it's a one-stop shop for all things Bucs, other than content from other sites. But just come through there. You'll find everything that you need. Anything, and if you don't need it, let me know. And if you just want to shoot me a DM and ask me some questions, about the Bucs team or about whatever, my DMs are always open. So again, happy to be on here. Thank you very much. And let's go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs. It has been incredible. Thanks again, JC. You guys, he's not lying. One-stop shop to get all your great Bucs news content you need at JC and Pewter Report. They just do tremendous work. A bunch of great people over there. Bunch of great work over there. JC's killing it in the game as always. He did at Bucs Report. Now he is at Pewter Report. Fellas, it's been a good one. It's been a great episode. JC, we hope to talk to you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Let me know. Always a fan of the show. Always a friend of the show. I'll come on whenever. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Bucs by 30, hopefully this What a way to end it, man. I love that shit. Guys, thanks for joining us. Until next time, JC, you'll be back in no time, I'm sure. Once again, that's been the Buccaneers, guys. Have a great evening.
Out.